Hello. Today I am so excited to be here with you for a really juicy topic. I feel like the topics lately are gonna get juicier and juicier, so just buckle up. But this today's topic is quite exciting. We're talking about Saturn. What a better time of the year to talk about Saturn, right? Especially that we are all feeling it, whether we know what's happening or not. We're all being affected by the energies in the cosmos right now. And that inspired today's video, today's episode, podcast, whichever way you're listening to this. Isn't that so cool that we have so many tools and technologies just at our fingertips? I still can't get over that every day I think about the internet. I'm like, oh my God. Anyways, I digress. So, we want to talk today about Saturn, how Saturn is not here to punish you, my loves. I know Saturn, with the second people hear the word Saturn, you have two camps. You either have Team Saturn or you have people that are just like holding their breath and being like, oh my God, Saturn, no, please go away. But Saturn is not here to punish you. I want you to understand that. Saturn is like that. It's like your mother forcing you to eat the veggies because they're good for you, and she can't let you just feed yourself, off of I don't know, chocolate, ice cream, and McDonald's Happy Meals. You know what I mean? So Saturn, in a way, is exactly the same prototype. So this is about growth. Saturn is here to push your soul to grow. This life here, it's like, I know it feels like a circus. It is a circus. That's also true. However, it's there's a method to the madness. It's a training ground. We could see the simulation as a big school of life where our soul choose to come here and pretty much, evolution's purpose. That's the point. It's school, it's training, it's like a gym, right? Whenever we go to the gym, it hurts, but it's for your own good, because you know that your body's gonna be, very grateful of when it's time to reap the rewards later. So Saturn is the same way. It's a teacher. I want us all to start embracing Saturn like a teacher, the teacher that it is. Like I said in another episode, think about Mr. Miyagi. It's not a villain, okay? It's not here because it hates you. So, why Saturn has a bad reputation? I've been thinking about it a lot. I think it's because Saturn, when you're talking about Saturn, you're going to have delay, meaning Saturn is not about instant gratification. And we live in a world, in a society where we love instant gratification. And to be honest, the human default is we love instant gratification. We want to see the goods, we want to see it right now. There's a reason why we see it in marketing, we see it everywhere on TV, everywhere. Lose 500 pounds in 7 days. that's just what we're used to. And no one is out there saying, oh, join my program so you can lose, healthy weight of 2 pounds per week and then keep it long term. Those type of words are not sexy. Okay, we don't want to hear that. We tend to, us as human, we as the collective, we are attracted to like rapid results. So I really believe that's the reason why Saturn is not as sexy. And also Saturn is about restriction. It's pretty much what's the word I'm looking for? Delayed gratification, right? Restriction in the now, just more like playing the long term game. And it's also about responsibility. Again, you just getting the energy right here. It's not attractive to our human brain. And also astrology culture, like pop culture, tends to really oversimplify thing, automatically putting, oh, if you can't see the result right now, then we don't want it, it's bad, and automatically categorize Saturn as the bad guy. And I think that's why we're left with the fear that we have around Saturn today. And also, there's the misunderstanding that discomfort is discomfort equals failure, where this is not true at all. But Saturn will bring discomfort. Saturn is not here to cuddle you, but Saturn is like pushing you through the discomfort. But then, if you could just have faith and stick with it and do the work, you will always like look back and be like, oh my God, Saturn, wow. So that's why I want to talk about Saturn a bit more in the in the videos in the podcast. So, what Saturn actually represents? Saturn represents structure, discipline, time, integrity. Also, Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, and I just actually made another episode on that, on Capricorn energy, and that was the theme I was talking about. You know. Doing the work, time, restriction, structure, that is pretty much Saturn, and that is why it's showing also in the archetypal energy of the zodiac sign of Capricorn. So it's pretty much what Saturn is all about. Saturn is about growth, but it's not there to just hand it to you on a silver spoon. It also requires you to work for the growth. Saturn is also Saturn. If we all truly understood Saturn, we would start falling in love so much with Saturn, because that's where the all the juicy, all the stuff you want in life, it's pretty much, there's no way to get them, you know, without Saturn energy. And it's pretty much where your mastery is developed. It's there. It's the door. It's the doorway that we all want to start embracing. We want to like start walking towards that door with a little bit more excitement. And Saturn is the planet of long-term rewards. I don't know about you, but I'm all about long-term game right now. This is also a reason why I feel like people are starting to question their habits, are starting to question, for example, like making sure they're controlling their social media consumption and stuff like that. And so a lot of people are pushing back against reels, against like quick consumption, because you know for example, I'm thinking about that because I think it's a very relevant example, right? You can easily stay on your phone, scroll, doom scrolling through, like, all of the social media, all of the cheap entertainment. And then by the end of the day, yeah, maybe you were entertained, but you know that feeling, like you thinking, what did I just watch? What did I just learn? And it's just like a big vacuum of nothingness, right? So that is here. Let us all use that example to show us that quick results are kind of like don't really live that long-term satisfaction that we're all attracted to deep inside. Quick results, it's just like cheap food, cheap entertainment. By cheap food, I mean snacks food, right? So Saturn is like, think about Saturn as the meal, that meal that you take the time to prepare at home, or when you go to your grandparents' house, when you go to your parents' house, your friends, your neighbors, that meal that just hits the spot. It took time to prepare, but my goodness. By the way, I have to stop talking about food. I don't know why I'm just constantly bringing food examples, but compare that to that snack, grabbing that bag of chips. It's, yeah, you eating something, but it just doesn't, it's not as filling. It doesn't hit the spot. It's like you eating empty air. So in the same way, this is what we need to think about when we're thinking about Saturn. Saturn is that homemade meal that just satisfies you. It takes longer to prepare, it requires more work, but that's what you truly want, not that the quick snacks that doesn't do anything for you. So that's Saturn, right? And also Saturn is high maintenance, as if Saturn is going to give you the growth and the mastery that we all secretly seek inside. However, and also because it's long-term rewards, right? If you can have the strength and courage to do the work, it will reward you long term. However, Saturn will also require accountability, patience. That's just how life works. Again, I keep thinking about the trees and nature, right? When you plant a seed in the ground, it takes time to sprout. It doesn't just sprout in like 5 minutes. It takes a long time. But then once that, I'm thinking about mango tree, right? But once that mango tree has sprouted and is pretty much has matured into a full tree, that mango tree can give you food, can feed you mangoes for like eternity, like pretty much generations upon generations upon generations, right? So that's how we want to think about Saturn. It requires patience. It also requires responsibility, because again, it's not going to do the work for you. You are required to do the work. And here's where it gets a little bit there's a bit of friction. Saturn will keep throwing things at you until you until you decide that you're done playing game and you're ready to go through the challenges. That is Saturn. That's literally what is gonna happen. There is no the sad news, or I don't want to say sad news, but let's say reality is, and there's no way around it. Like I'm making this episode today as if, I'm pleading for you to let's appreciate Saturn. But the reality is there's no other way around it. Saturn will keep challenge you until you just, until you mature. If it's not in this lifetime, it's gonna be in the next lifetime. It doesn't really end. You pretty much we're all meant to face, our soul's curriculum. Whether you decide to do it now, it's gonna happen. It's gonna keep, you're gonna keep on being thrown the same challenges until we become like, big girls and then big boys, and then we decide, all right, I'm ready to face the challenge right now and get through it. So technically, I hope you realize that now our best interest is to make things as easy for us as possible and just accept it and not fight with it so much, right? And because this is where you remove resistance in your life. Like we're here to go through the challenges. That's what life is about. Our soul came here pretty much like I said already. It is a school to train itself, to evolve. So we need to learn to get more comfortable with challenges, with hard times, because again, this is the only way our soul can grow. We don't grow when we're just like sitting in a, if everything is easy and it's just you never challenge. Like no, we need. That's why I like the example of the gym so much. No one, like everyone gets that. That example, we all get it. Yes, we want to believe that we can just sit on the couch, eat, candies all day, and just like you're gonna have like a fit body just like that by thinking about it. But we are in Kabbalah they call it this world that we're in right now. It's the 1%. It's the world of pretty much we need actions. We need actions in order to manifest anything. So yes, our thoughts are powerful, but we need to match them up with actions in order to manifest things into the physical realm, in the physical plane. So this is pretty much why Saturn is our good friend, even if we don't really show it love. It's there. It's that coach that's rooting for you in your corner. So let's all learn to appreciate and embrace it, right? Because Saturn lessons, like I said before, they will repeat until you start integrating them, until you start mastering them. And now on your when you get a birth chart reading, I know here I go again talking about the birth chart reading, but it's so important, guys. I promise you, it's so important. So because again, like last time I did another episode on your Venus sign, and the whole episode required you to know where your Venus sign, was located. Today it's about Saturn. If you want to know where the challenges of your life are mostly going to be in, or where you're going to be pretty much challenged the most because it's the path to your higher self, check your Saturn. Literally, your Saturn is like, it's going to tell you what is the curriculum for you in this lifetime. So today I'm not gonna do a deep dive into what Saturn means in every house. I did that in the Venus video recently, but I think I'm gonna do that in another episode. So, but I just want you to know that depending on where Saturn is located in your house, it's pretty much where your soul is being trained in this lifetime. And so I don't want to overwhelm and make this too long. We'll dive into this in another episode. But technically, the house where your Saturn is located is going to show your life, the life areas where you're being challenged, right? It's going to show area of long-term mastery. One of my mentors really likes to believe that it's also the path to show you to your higher self. So in a way, it also makes sense. And it's there's going to be a lot of discomfort there, but also if you can go through that discomfort, then it's going to it what happens is that then it transforms into like a sort of later life mastery and confidence. We all want to get more confident, but we need to realize that guess what? In order to be confident, we need to get through the ugly part first. So again, but that beautiful thing is that pressure turns into beautiful confidence and self-love and all of that good stuff. Here I'm thinking about a butterfly, a butterfly going through the period, like where it's going from a worm to becoming a butterfly in the chrysalis. It's actually really painful. I've been reading about this recently. I don't know why, but it's a very painful transition. But then again, some don't make it. Oh gosh, why we're getting so dark here. But the ones that make it, the ones that are strong enough and make it through the process, they blossom into that. It's a beautiful butterflies. Like, take the time to admire the butterflies next time you're walking outside. They're absolutely stunning, you know? So, or just, I don't know, go check out a video and then you see how beautiful they are. But we often forget that for them to get to that beauty, they had to go through so much pain and uncomfortable, and discomfort. And that's pretty much what Saturn is here to help us do. Now, talking about discomfort, so yeah, just to wrap up the whole, I have my notes here just because again, yours truly don't want to start talking about like a million different things. I need my outline so I can keep some order in the house here. So talking about house, it's yeah, that's like I said that before. So each sign is gonna really give you pointers about where you're here to grow and pretty much where Saturn wants you to apply consciousness because yeah, that's what your soul came here to do. And which brings us to Saturn returns. Now, Saturn returns get such a bad rep. My God. Saturn returns, I like to see it as Saturn is coming up to you. Okay, you know what? I think about it as the IRS. One day the IRS shows up and being like, knock, knock, knock. All right, let's do a tax audit. So Saturn return, that's how you, let's to keep things simple, that's exactly how you can think about it. It's pretty much your welcome to adulthood, where you've already been in adulthood a long time ago by then, because your Saturn return usually, your first return would happen around age 29, 30 and you've already been an adult at that point. But just to be sure, Saturn would show up and be like, all right, let's see how you were doing. Because if you've been coasting through or not really doing the work, this is where Saturn is gonna. Saturn is literally gonna. I don't want to say smack you up, but he will have a redirection. Saturn will pretty much give you a reality check. Will forcefully redirect you. This is where I'm laughing, but it's not even funny at all. The part that is interesting is that so many times you have clients. It always seems like so many drama stories, right, about around Saturn returns. But the reason it being is because it shows us how we humans, we tend to be majorly avoidant. We don't want to do the work. So because most of us aren't avoidant and avoiding the work, that's why Saturn returns tend to be so dramatic, because if you so out of path, then it requires much more effort to drag you back onto the path, right? And that comes with all sorts of reality, big stuff. Like some people will go through major divorces because again, you're not in the right relationship, or a lot of people will go through like a life crisis. Who are they? Some other clients, it would be health, God forbid, it would be health issues, and pretty much all of these things that are smacking us, wide awake, and just start pulling you out of autopilot and really focusing and re-putting your focus on life. And the best way I can think about is awaken you from autopilot. That's what I can think about. Awaken you from cruise control. Pretty much that's what Saturn returns are here to do. And there's a second Saturn return that happens around age 58, 60. But by that time, most people learn the lessons in the first Saturn return, because again, Saturn return is not there to destroy you. It's here to kind of like help you realign, because you're going so off path. It's like almost the GPS. You've left the road a long time ago. You going on like a road that's not leading you anywhere. So Saturn return puts you back on the road through like lots of friction and lots of drama sometimes. I mean, often. And then by the second Saturn return, most people they get it. They already got it in the first one, and then it's more like a time of mastery, legacy, and stuff like that. But Saturn returns definitely accelerates growth because it throws so much things at you. There's no other way that you can, you just, yeah, there's no other way. It goes from droplets of water to like straight up, the faucet is open at like 100 miles per hour. Yeah, it's hard to catch it all up, but it's definitely gonna wake you up. So pretty much some Saturn patterns and blocks that I do notice a lot in readings is fear of failure, self doubt and self criticism, overworking and avoidance. I've already talked about avoidance, but I didn't mention overwork. Overwork is something else, is another very common pattern. We find that a lot, especially with men. We find that a lot. And I think this is probably a reason why I find that Saturn returns can be so hard for my for the fellow gentlemen out there. It's just you cannot you cannot hide from yourself. Pretty much you can only hide from yourself for so long. It's like things always gonna catch up with you at some point. Like I said, even if you think you're getting away with it this lifetime, it's gonna catch up with you at some point. If it's not here in this lifetime, it's gonna be the next one after. Because don't forget, our bodies, like, yes, you here with a certain body, which is the uniform that you're wearing in this lifetime, but your soul is eternal. Okay, so the soul is eternal, and there is a continuity, right, with the soul. So just keep that in mind. There's no way, like, we have to understand that yes, there's a lot of amazing beautiful things in life. Yes, we're supposed to have fun, but also we're here to also, like, to grow. The soul is here to grow. Okay. And so this is where Saturn and Saturn returns come in, and are part of the curriculum for us. And what else did I want to say? So I really wanted to say, this today's episode is pretty much an encouragement for us to learn to work with Saturn, right? If this wasn't clear by now, like I said, there's no way you can't hide from Saturn. So it's amazing if we can get ahead and just learn to embrace it. So by working with Saturn, that is consciousness first. Consciousness is everything. So sit down with yourself, be honest, and be like, is anything in your life, any aspect of your life that you've been, that you need to give it attention, but you don't like to. You prefer to just like throw it under the rug. Well, this is where you're invited to shed some light there, bring out some consciousness, build structure, and intentionally commit to long-term growth, because trust me, your life is going to get so much better. And also developing self-trust, but self-trust through consistency, and replacing fear with responsibility. The funny thing about fear is that the more you do the thing, the less fear has a hold on you. I was thinking about that. Let's give you an example. My mom. Last time I went on a trip with my mom, it was more of a pilgrimage trip with my mom, right? And we were walking, crossing a bridge, and everything was safe. I was holding her hand. We were like, because she has a bit of mobility, her mobility is a bit limited, so I was helping her walk. My mom is in her 70s, and she had, when it was time to cross the bridge, she had such a huge fear of the water. I mean, because it was a bridge, and there was a river underneath, and she had a very huge fear of crossing. And I was like, oh, it's okay, mom, don't worry, we'll just say it's fine, you're safe here. Holding her hand, her arm, and then like we're crossing it slowly, and just kind of like making her feel comfortable, like making her, step by step with patience, and doing it, getting through the fear by going through it. And what I realized after is that we spent a few days in that village, and we had to cross that bridge many times. The first time was horrible. Okay, we still did it, but she did not like it. And then I noticed something. As fast as, let's say, because it was a round trip, we were going, to the event, and we had to come back. By the time we were walking back, I already noticed that her body was relaxing a little bit. Why? Because again, it's that bridge that she was so scared of is slowly becoming familiar. And then something beautiful started happening. The next day we had to cross the bridge again. And then by day 4, I noticed that she would naturally walk really close to the, how do you call that? To the thing, like the rail. And I was just like, huh, what happened? I thought you were scared of the bridge. And she was like, oh, well, it's not that bad. And then I was just like, oh, I was really smiling inside because, again, this is a great example. It's a small example, but it's the same thing with anything in life, with fear. Fear is that, pretty much, fear is the unknown. The best remedy against fear is exposure. You know, the more you do it, the less hold that fear would have on you. And next thing you know, you'll be looking back and be laughing and be like, oh my God, wow. And that this is why in therapy they use like exposure therapy. But that's why it's the thing, because the only way is through. But oh my God, I'm realizing I should probably make another episode on that. Fear alone requires like is a big topic. So let's review that a little bit later. And technically, this is what Saturn is asking you also to face the fear with responsibility. Um, and finally, Saturn will reward integrity. Now, this is the juicy part. I know this sounded like a very serious talk. Saturn, do the work, show up. But the good thing is, Saturn will reward your integrity. It will reward your willingness to go through the discomfort. You get, your confidence will get better, will blossom through all that effort that you're putting in. And finally, Saturn will bring fulfillment, but you have to say no to the shortcuts. Again, soul growth will give you like a certain wisdom that you can only gain that wisdom through the work. It's like the diamond that's hiding in the on the all that coal. It's there, but you can only get through it through the dirt, the work, the hard work, the effort, the sweat, and all of that stuff. So Saturn doesn't rush. I'm not saying let's rush, guys. It's more like you see it as refinement, right? And growth only starts happening when we stop avoiding the work, stop avoiding the discomfort. So let me know in the comments how that landed for you. If you'd like me to dive deeper into like Saturn, like per sign, what to expect. And also if you'd like me to do a deep dive Saturn return, let me know. And also again, if you need help to understand your Saturn better and what work you're meant to do here, you could definitely book a birth chart reading with me. Like I said, Saturn will give you major insight in the assignment that you have for this lifetime. On that note, my love, I will see you in the next one. Keep shining bright like a diamond, and I will see you later. Bye.